Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.
What is going on, everybody? This is Bullshit, a brand new ASAP network brought to you by Rob Scott and Mike Hughes. Super excited to be here. I'm sitting here with one of the best hosts in all of Chicago and the Midwest. Can't speak on the world because he's on his way to taking it. Rob Scott, thank you for being on here, bro. Thank you for doing this show. How are we feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling amazing, man. I mean, it just feels like a bright new day in Chicago, right? Chicago Bulls looking better. That bench is looking better. Shout out to your clothing line, which we're gonna be putting out all season long. Bench Mob, baby. That Bench Mob is back, baby. And hold on, is that a new show on the horizon in Chicago, taking over Chicago sports media? That's right. It's Mike and Rob. It's the Bullshit. Let's get it.
Super excited, man. It's honestly like me and Rob been talking about this forever, bro. Like we've been talking about just doing, we didn't even know what it was. We just talking about doing something. And this was just, we finally have relevancy again in Chicago and the UC. The Blackhawks suck. The Bulls were awful for a long time. A lot of things weren't bright. And don't even get me started on those Bears, Rob. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And you know what? Whether you're a Cubs fan or a Sox fan, North Side, South Side, we both sitting at the Losers Club right now watching Cleveland do crazy things. So right now, looking at it for what it is, the Chicago Bulls are bringing the town of Chicago back to relevancy. Them in the Chicago sky, they're doing their thing right now. And for you, Rob, how important has it been to just see Bulls fans first? Before we get into the topic, seeing Bulls fans first, coming back out of the dark ages, kind of closeted for a while. You got your diehards, but yeah, I'm starting to see Lonzo jerseys, DeMar jerseys, Zach jerseys. You're starting to see it everywhere. So how important has it been for you to really see Bulls fans just coming back?
Honestly, it feels amazing. I don't know if a lot of people were still going with us in the dark ages when we had the Kurt Heinrichs, the Chris Duhans of the world, the Ben Gordons of the world, way back when, and people got excited again when Derrick Rose came on the scene, won MVP and things looked bright in Chicago until that injury and everybody went back in the closet. But after seeing them put this team, together, bringing in Lonzo, bringing in DeMar DeRozan, which I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about him and Zach LaVine, Aaron Levine a lot this year. And also, the bench coming together now. Javonte Green, who had probably one of the best plays in the preseason so far with his, the man was literally one step in the free throw line and he took off. Right now, excitement is buzzing around Chicago. I look at my social media and that's all I'm seeing. Oh, well, the Bears was disappointment. Bring on the Bulls. And everybody is buzzing about this Bulls team because, we're going to get into this later, but, it just the fate, the cards wasn't in our hand, last season, our plays, injury, everything. We're gonna get into all that in a second, y'all. But man, it just feels good to know that the Madhouse on Madison is gonna be buzzing again this season.
100%. Yes, and you know what? I did want that to be the name of our podcast. I wanted it to be the Madhouse, but some fucker stole that name. They have not used that podcast since 2017, but they got the rights to it. So whoever hosts the Madhouse podcast, fuck you. But that's all right. Bullshit will have to do. I'm rocking with it. I hope you guys are too. But in all seriousness, it does speak volumes. Now, Rob Scott knows I might not be the youngest or the oldest person here. I might be one of the youngest. So I missed the entire 90s Bulls era. I was born in 2000. God said, you know what? Put this man right in a situation where he's got the history behind him, but he ain't got nothing to speak on. So that's really what my life's been, bro. And you hit it on the head for guys my age, young guys especially. You got you got guys that are in their 30s, 40s, etc., who still rep the Bulls. But young guys like me have a hard time repping them because all we had was Derek. That's
Yeah.
all we've ever had was
Yep.
Derek. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? Outside of Derrick Rose, we've had Chris Dunn, Cameron Payne, and all these other guys. And it's like the last time I really felt serious or even excited about a Bulls team like this was that last run with Jimmy when you had D
Yeah.
Wade, Rondo.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
mean,
you know what? Hey, I thought they had to,
they,
especially because D Wade still had magic and Rondo was
mm-hmm.
Rondo.
You
So,
remember that cut? Remember that cut he got fined for? He said, they're dead.
hey, you dead. You dead.
They're
And then we
dead.
got to see D Wade one time hop on
Mm-hmm.
the table. This is my house,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. But we gonna talk about it, man. I
We're going
think
to
this
talk about
Bulls
it. But
team got some magic waiting to happen,
we
man.
definitely do, but we're gonna get right into it. Last year, I was at a bunch of games. Me and my boy, shout out Rob Blaylock, my boy Robbie, always going to games with Robbie, Gio, everybody else, man. We always get up there. We got to get up with Rob Scott soon too. But talking about it as a whole, we keep dancing around it. The Bulls 2021-2022 season, a lot of shit happened. We're talking everybody and their mama got COVID, and we're still above 500. We're talking DeBall, Zach doing their thing. We're talking a Patrick Williams injury. We have so much to break that down. Rob Scott, though, for you, if you could just talk about the season as a whole, what that meant for you, and really how that projected going into this season, what your expectations are.
I mean, last year, as you were mentioning too, COVID, one thing, we were the first team affected by COVID last season. I mean, you looked up. I think we had to cancel games because we were undermanned as a roster. I think 11 people got COVID.
I heard they were trying guys out on Jackson Street. That's what I heard.
I mean, even I got an email about a tryout, man. And I'm telling you right now, if you got me on your team as your starter, you might not be winning that many games.
My email told me not to come. That's what my email said. My email said we're all good. We're filled. I was like, all right, well, it's all good.
It's all good, man.
I wasn't coming anyways.
Hey, Mike, I'm pretty sure they can use your jumper now. I'm pretty sure they can use your jumper now. You know what? Though, one thing, the Bulls got shooting right now, but last year though, Patrick Williams, I think he got injured. The fourth game going into the season?
Yeah, I was actually there. It was crazy. But you know what it was? Wait, I know you're going.
Yeah,
but you know what it was that was so messed up? It was like such a gimme. Like, so Patrick went down, right?
Right.
But Noah was there.
Right.
Artie was there. D Rose was there. Tibbs was there. They retired, or they did something with Noah. I forgot what it was. I think he retired a Bull. I think that was the day, 1 day contract or whatever. Man, like it was like such a feel good moment. And then I saw this man come up, boom, and I was like, it was right above me, and I was just like, I looked at my boy. I was like, he's done. I was like, I literally saw it, and I was like, he's done. It was disgusting.
Over with, man. It was nasty, and he goes down, so he misses all of not all of the regular season.
I think he
but
came back for like 5 games,
right, and going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he missed majority of the regular season. Then we get hit with COVID. Then Caruso goes down. Then Levine goes down. Then Lonzo goes down. It was just a never-ending a rotation of injury players throughout the league. I don't think we ever got a chance to see the Bulls at full strength at all last year. Maybe,
I don't think so.
Maybe 5 games or so. I guess you could compare it to the Nets. Right. You never really saw the Nets roster play as a roster where you can really evaluate. So, now, and then we get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. We have to play the defending champions, and I believe that's right before Chris Middleton goes down. So we saw Milwaukee at full strength, and boy, were they at full strength. RIP to the Bulls season last year playing them. But now optimism is back because I guess you can call us Cowboy fans. I guess we're similar. But every time we feel this all year. And even though I still think the Warriors are the favorite to win, I think right now in the East it's going to be a battle, and the Bulls are going to be one of the teams in contention for the top spot in the Eastern Conference, the Beastern Conference, as I like to call it. What about you, Mike? Talk to us about last season, and what were your thoughts on that, brother?
I mean, last season was everything for me, bro. Like last season was the epitome of like who we want to be and what we want to do. And I think understanding who Arturas is as a man, first and foremost, Garpax is out of the building. That's how I started my 2021 season. Fuck that. It's gone. It's over. I was so happy. I know Michael Reinsdorf is taking over. Jerry has nothing to do with it from what I'm understanding. And you're seeing it. You're really seeing it. Mark and Arturis do an amazing job. Mark's last name always blanks on me, so I apologize for that. But Mark does an amazing job as well. They really pick everybody's brain and what they want to create. Now, we are going to talk about it in a little bit. I do think, they didn't have a lot of cap space to work with, but I felt like they could have did a little bit more this offseason. But for the 2022 season, they did everything I wanted. I mean, me and you talked about it. I literally told you. What did I say? I said I was almost there. I was 2 for 3. I said they're going to bring in Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
They brought in Lonzo Ball. They're going to get DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
Everybody and their mama, all these Lakers fans that will not be named on the A Sports Network, ASAP Network, they're talking about DeMar's going to the Lakers. DeMar comes in. Arturis flies out. Come here. Come with me. They fly back together. Whoop-de-whoop. My boy Debo is in the shy. Now, here's where my big one was. I said, I know he loves Tibbs, but D-Rose is going to come back. And we're going to run this thing. And they couldn't get D-Rose. And honestly, D-Rose got a bag. And he didn't play last season because he got injured after a few games after the Chicago series.
To your point, I've also heard rumors now that, and I don't know how true they are.
I've heard
but they are not letting people wear the number 1 because when Rose officially retires, we will retire his jersey here in Chicago. And I think that's well deserved.
As we should.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I just feel like our audience needs to hear that news. We are going to honor the Chicago bred, Chicago fed Derrick Rose,
100%.
your youngest MVP.
100%. I remember Michael Carter Williams was like, "Hey, can I wear one?" And we were like, "Fuck no, get out of here. Who are you? Like, what are we? No, get out of here. You're trash, guy." But in all seriousness, you look at that. You can't get Rose. You bring in Caruso. And I'm like, all right, we're doing something here. You draft insanely well, though. You draft insanely well. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I wasn't huge on Patrick at all. I was a big Obi Toppin. I was a big, hey, call me crazy. I was big angry on Denny.
I was angry. Big on Denny. I said, you waste the 4th pick on somebody that came off the bench in college? Oh, I was pissed when we got Patrick Williams. I won't lie. I had to give that man an apology.
Exactly. And that's where I was going with it. It's Patrick's one of those guys that's really just proved everybody wrong. To an extent. I don't think we've seen top 4 talent yet in a draft, but that draft class as a whole hasn't been insane.
It wasn't good.
But I think, for what it is, I mean, they did insanely well. They kept Kobe. They built around it. They kept Zach and Kobe. I believe those are the only 2 guys. And let's talk about it for what it is as well. Bringing in Vooch back in 2020, 2021, like that was the cycle. I know I'm going everywhere right now, but there was so much amazing stuff that happened. I mean, before, what was I going to tell you, Rob? Before, we brought back Cameron Payne for the 3rd time. Like, we actually have things to talk about. And I think, the 2022 season, you finished 46-36. 6 in the Eastern Conference, and we were at 1 for quite some time. We were at 1 and 2 with Miami. And I want to
while going through those injury problems,
dude. While having COVID, we still stayed top 3. We never left the top 3 when we had COVID.
Like, and not to mention, didn't DeMar DeRozan, he made history hitting 2 back-to-back 3-point shot game winners.
Hey, in back-to-back years, my brother. New Year's Day and New Year's Eve.
Back-to-back games, back-to-back years. I mean, that's a bar.
That's a bar. I mean, J. Cole's writing that down right now. Chance the Rapper somewhere on 79th. Like, whoa, hold up. I got something right now. But in all seriousness, we talk about it with Lonzo. They're 27-10. 27-10 with Lonzo on the court. Now, what happens after that, we're not going to talk about it. But, I mean, with Lonzo and no Patrick Williams at that, what would you say right now the importance of having Lonzo back in this Billy Donovan type offense, where you understand even in his Florida Gators days and OKC, it's so point guard driven, and so many people get upset at me when I say that. Oh, well, every team is point guard driven. No, it's not. I mean, look at the Lakers right now. Are they point guard driven? No. You know what I mean?
Not every team is point guard driven.
This is a true point guard driven team. And for you, how important was Lonzo Ball? And when did people start realizing, we need Zoe back?
You know what? With first things first, we saw his his elevated shooting. He came in, he was shooting better from the 3-point line. Form had changed. He worked so hard over the years from what he did with the Lakers, what he did with the Pelicans, to the form he had coming in with the Bulls. He was pure, especially from that corner. But what I think, a lot of people overlook, not just his playmaking, which we know he's probably, as far as playmaking goes, one of the best point guards in the league right now. He's a natural playmaker, and Lonzo has been taught to keep his eyes up and he looks for his guys. But where his value really comes into play is that Lonzo plays defense. And what he made it, he took so much pressure off Vucevic, because him, Caruso, Levine, DeRozan, they were keeping guys on the perimeter, especially in particular Lonzo and Caruso. And then even Ayo started feeding off that energy and was learning defensively from these guys, where he's a pretty proven defensive player himself. So let me tell you guys something. Lonzo was missed on that defensive end. And when he comes back, you have to think now, not only are we deep in the point guard position, we're deep in defensive playing point guards, which means you never get a break when one guy goes to the bench. When Lonzo goes to the bench, Caruso comes in. When Caruso goes to the bench, Ayo comes in. And you guys seen Dalen Terry, right? I mean, oh Lord Jesus, we ain't even gonna talk about this season yet. Oh, it's about to get critical for people out here when you play Chicago.
100%, 100%. But I want to ask you something, and me and you talked about it a lot, and we also avoided it a lot. But we finally have this conversation now. We are sure. A few weeks back, if I'm not mistaken, about a month. Lonzo Ball has his third meniscus surgery to repair the second mishap that happened. And this was a quote from him on media day, basically running it back and saying, I can't play basketball. I can't run or jump. Saying basically it hurts when he goes up and down the stairs, and having these kind of injuries. One, I'll say this: when you're in Chicago and it's the winter and you have injuries, my shoulder hurts every time I wake up in the morning when it's less than 50 degrees out. But in the summertime
I don't want to tell you about my knee.
Oh yeah, we ain't even gonna get into Rob's knee. Rob's knee is the reason he's talking to me right now. He should be in the league right now. But Rob, for you, how serious is it that not only, while you're having all this time off, that you can't even walk up and down the stairs? A lot of people think Lonzo was bullshitting. A lot of people think that, he was just playing it for the money. A lot of people have been saying negative things. A lot of people have. But the truth is, if this man truly was in pain, how important is it that Lonzo did get this third surgery? And do you think it took too long to get this third surgery? Because me and you talked about it in the Milwaukee series. You personally, and me and you talked about it. I did not want to see him in the Milwaukee series with or without getting cleared.
Yeah. I mean, because he's important, and we know, faulty surgeries and then playing on body parts that have not healed properly. We know, especially when we're talking ligaments, internal tissue. Anytime you got injury of that sort, you don't want to play around with it. So, I don't think it took too long for him to get the surgery, because surgery always is your last option. If the body can heal on its own, let it heal on its own. But if you, like you said, you taking all this time off and you still can't perform just daily functions without being in pain, then something went wrong there. So I think the most important thing is, even though as Bulls fans it sucks to say, hey, we really want this guy on the court, we want him to also come on the court when he's 100% ready to come on the court. So I hopefully this third surgery helps, and he starts to be able to get back to some normal parts of his life where he's able to walk up the stairs, exercise, get out there, jog a little bit without it hurting, and then we can worry about getting him back to full-time basketball activity. But I think the Bulls, even though we will miss Lonzo, I think right now, especially bringing in a Goran Dragic, which I know we're going to talk a lot about this guy, especially the impact he had on the Miami Heat, helping them get to the finals, helping them become a perennial playoff team. I think bringing in a guy like that with the guards that we already have, because I think Ayo has also made, huge developments in his play, and he's going to be a great starter, and I think that starting position is well deserved. The Bulls are going to be A-okay until Lonzo gets back. I think they're going to be fine. We're going to miss Lonzo, but man, if we get a Goran Dragic on top of that, to hold us down until you get back, I don't think we're that bad off.
Right. Now, I do think this. I do think, one of the biggest issues for me as a fan, I think it's understanding, history's past and what
Yeah.
that's told us. Like you're talking about, we're not just talking about a player on the Chicago Bulls. We're talking about a fucking point guard on the
Yes.
Chicago Bulls.
Yes.
Now we've done what happens to our last franchise point guard. We rushed him back how many times, and look what happened to Derek. And everybody ran him out of the city, and now everybody loves him again, and they miss him because after his 50-point game, all the bandwagon fans came back. I'm calling it how I see it, Rob. Everybody ran that man out the city. I don't want to hear anybody talking good about Derrick Rose unless they truly mean it.
Yeah,
But
that's facts. That's facts.
yeah, they all
He
love
was
him
from
now.
here. I wasn't gonna never down talk that man.
And we ain't gonna sit here and change the subject, but I see a lot of Jay Cutler truthers nowadays. But I never heard a man talking positive about that man when he was here. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to talk about it. I'm hearing, and me and you were talking about it the other day. Mitchell Trubisky believers now. It's blasphemy to me to think that like y'all rock with these guys, but when they were here, you treated them like shit. Neither here nor there. Just wanted to get that out there. Be fucking for real. But it's something right now, with Lonzo and what his defense brings with Caruso and Patrick Williams. You're looking at a top 5 defense without Lonzo ranked somewhere from 20 to 30. Like that's a problem. That's something I don't
drop off. Yeah.
And as much as I love Dragic, I don't think that changes anything. And a big thing me and you talked about was the 3-point shooting. Now, Lonzo's not our first option from 3, and I don't think any of them really are. There is no for certain outside of Andre Drummond in the preseason, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. I don't know what the fuck that was, but we're going to talk
about Hey, Drummond got range now, baby.
Drummond was damn. It was not once, not twice, but 3 times. I was, what? Where am I? Where am I? He said, what? But in all seriousness, I do want to transition to our next topic because I do think he is going to be incredibly missed, and Lonzo coming back could be that dark horse in a conversation of going into the playoffs where a lot of teams, I think early on, especially, we're going to talk about our Eastern Conference, just conversations. I know it wasn't in the topic list, but I felt like we should talk about the Eastern Conference.
Hey, hell, our division. It's insane. I was asked on the afternoon show. It was in the morning or afternoon show. What division in basketball do we think is going to be the toughest division? And besides the Pacific Division, which we know the Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers, who's bringing people back, and I think the Clippers is probably going to be the biggest threat to the Warriors in the Western Conference if they can stay healthy. Right. But if we're looking at the Central Division, Milwaukee, the Bulls, Cleveland now with Donovan Mitchell, and everybody is saying that they think that Detroit with under Cade Cunningham is going to be so much better. I think the Central Division might be the toughest division in basketball. So, the East, as you say, as we say, the Eastern Conference right now, they might be the best conference because my sleeper team is the Atlanta Hawks. So 100%. it's gonna be tough in the East, but I feel like the Bulls have a roster to contend to go to battle with these guys. Because if we just look at what they did in the preseason, what they were 4-1 or 3-1,
right?
Played 4 games, 3-1. We beat Milwaukee, and I know you can't look that deep in the preseason. But what I look for in preseason is habits. What habits are we creating? I love the ball movement from the Bulls. I love the fact that they can hit you because the point guards we have are different guards. They play different games, so they're going to hit you in different type of ways. And I honestly, we have a big roster and a small roster, so we can play big ball and little ball. So the Bulls right now are so versatile, and I just think DeMar DeRozan is going to be proving to people he's not a one-hit wonder. And he's going to come back and do what he did last year. And it's going to be trouble for people playing Chicago.
Without a doubt. And you kind of hit it on the head. Before we talk about our new point guard of the future, at least for the time being, I do want to talk about why we can play big ball now. And the biggest thing about all of it was the offseason. Right now, you look at the offseason, Dalen Terry drafted in the first round. Oh, my Lord, we had a first-round pick, and it was beautiful. Right?
And he was nice.
He was nice. 18th pick overall. Arturas does it again. Let's not forget this is the same man that drafted Jokic in the second round. I mean, let's talk about it. Arturas is outstanding at developing, outstanding at drafting. Mark is amazing as well. They really just do their thing over there. But I do want to ask you this. On top of Dalen Terry, now, I don't know if you were watching any of the G League type performances over the summer, but Dalen Terry and Marko Simonovic connection, it was looking It was looking nice, Rob
The big
Scott.
man.
The
The
big
big
man
man.
himself. The second round pick, baby Joker. Just wait on it. Just wait on it. We're gonna flash forward this
Oh,
episode 5 years from
do you
now.
see Baby Joke in that?
I'm just saying. I think, hey, if you look at his Windy City Bulls record, that man averaging a double double. He's doing his thing. I just think
No,
he
he
just
played. He played very well. He
very
played
well.
very well, and I'm actually excited because we have some good big men. You know what Vucevic lacks. You know, defensively, he more than makes up for it
Hmm.
offensively because he can play you on the block. He can stretch it out with the 3-point shot, and he's a great passer for a big man.
Right,
And you
100%.
bring in Drummer. Now you want to
100%.
get defensive? Let's get defensive. Not saying Andre Drummond is the end all be all defensively, but he's not no run of the mill guy. He's gonna be a
Right,
big body out there. He's gonna make you work for it. He can get blocks. He's still athletic, and to me, he's expanded his offensive game so much over the years from those first years in Detroit to who he is now. I actually think he's better offensively, a lot better than what he used to be. And now, you know, as you mentioned, we got the big man. Say his name one more time. Samanovic. You know,
Simonovic.
Samanovic. You know, and I just think that you know he can stretch out the floor, and I
Right,
like the way that he spaces the floor. That
right,
pick and pop can be deadly. And even though I don't look at Dalen Terry as a point guard, I think he has the skill to be a point forward.
right.
And I think that and he's another defensive guy, and
Very.
he can stick point guards. So that's why I say to me, when Lonzo gets back, the Bulls are probably going to be one of the scariest defensive teams in the league.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
Without a doubt. And I think one of the biggest things that you hit on too is just defensively. I mean,
Prime.
Dalen Terry understands his assignment. I mean, he understands he doesn't need to be the number one option, two,
Yeah,
3, or 4. This guy, you saw that steal. I forgot. I think it was
yeah,
the Pelicans game. That steal, that shy slammer jammer dunk to finish it off too. I mean, it was disgusting. The kid
it is.
understands the assignment. He doesn't do too much. He's a respectful kid. He really does his thing. I'm calling him a kid, like we're not like damn near the same age, but
You
whatever.
know, I'm in my 30s, so I can call him a kid.
But in all seriousness, and I brought up Marco because Marco is one of those sneaky ones. He's developing. So I
Yeah,
still look at Marco as a guy who could come in at some point.
yeah.
Really didn't do much when he first came in. But again, a guy from overseas, typically they take a few years. Look at Giannis, look at Jokic, look at every other guy out here. Luka is an anomaly. Guys like that typically don't come in and just kill the league.
But the thing is, like, if you guys saw the Redeem team, them coming into the NBA, they have to learn to evolve to play our game. But when we
Right.
have to play in the Olympics or FIBA basketball, we have to evolve to play overseas basketball
Exactly.
because overseas play is a little bit more skilled. We're physical here in America. It just, most of the players you see, we want to run right through you. There's no finesse to it. It's I'm stronger than you. Move out my way. I'm getting to the rim. But if you look overseas, so much skill. These guys been playing with each other since they were small. So to make it to the NBA from overseas shows that he knows how to play. So I think
Hey
he's gonna
Rob.
have the right point guards to play well
Hey
for the
Rob.
Bulls. What's up?
Check
What you
this
gonna
out,
say
bro.
about Pride?
Check this out, bro. Check this out, bro.
Oh, hey, Pride. You know how I feel about Connecticut.
Come on now. Come on now. Nah, I got mad love. Hey, this one's for Pride. Really quick, I just wanted to say bebop. But with that being said, I got mad love for Pride. Pride does his thing.
Oh yeah, that's my guy.
Pride said only worries the Bulls is health. Y'all
Yeah,
was legit until injuries caught up with them.
yeah,
110%.
yeah,
110%. And you know
yeah.
what? Honestly, it was one of the same conversations though when we were healthy, just like Boston. It was just the consistencies. It was just the consistencies. Like the same thing. I'm not putting them in the same box. Pride, please don't have an aneurysm. But I think when you look at DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs and you look at Jason Tatum night in and night out. Some nights Tatum's out here scoring 40, other nights he's scoring 5. To me, Boston and Chicago was so similar up until the offseason when they brought in Dragic and Gallinari and not Dragic, pardon me, Malcolm Brogdon. They brought in
Yeah,
Malcolm Brogdon. They
yeah,
brought in Gallinari. They brought in everybody and their mama. So I was like, damn. But in all seriousness, when you look at it, we're going to get back into it. Dalen Terry, Marko Samanovic. But let's talk about the big steppers, the
yeah,
big names, the one we drastically needed. Andre Drummond, 2 years, $3.3 million a year, pretty much. $6.5 million deal over 2 years. I
yeah.
mean, for you, how important was it to bring in Andre Drummond? And Rob Scott, can we talk about the threes? Is it too early to talk about the threes?
No,
Or
it's not. Well, he showed last year that he can stretch the floor, and I believe, even with Philly, he had instances where he can stretch the floor. He was a great backup to Joel Embiid, and I think he
right,
can be an even greater backup to Vucevic, because on those nights where Vucevic don't have it, I think Drummond comes in. He gives you a different element at the center position, because he's not looking to stand up at the top of the key. He's looking to get down low. He's looking to do the dirty work. He know his bread and butter is rebounds and on the defensive end. So I think Drummond is a great addition. The Bulls can definitely use him. I saw him a lot in the pick and roll the last preseason game. Got a nice couple of alley oops. I mean, Drummond can play the position very well, and I think you're gonna need a guy like that when it gets to playoff time and you get playoff basketball and the defense gets a little tighter. And trust me, people look to take advantage of Vucevic on the defensive end.
oh man.
So then you look to bring in a guy like Drummond and say, okay, now let's play big boy basketball.
Right. But you know what that is too, though? And I felt this way the entire season. I was very critical on Vooch. One, I need that man to stop shooting so many threes. That's just me. That's just me personally. You don't need to be that guy. But
yeah, to me, if he can get away with 3 or 4 threes a game,
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm cool with that.
That's fine. But I was at the Charlotte game and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But in all seriousness, it's one of those things, you know, for Vooch, why he's getting beat in the pick and roll so much was we didn't really talk about that at all when Lonzo and Caruso were on the court. Once those two were gone, and all power to him. He's our next topic. We're going to get into it. I love me some Io, but a second round rookie who, you know, is playing from 5 minutes a game to 40 plus minutes a game. You know, it was definitely a huge adjustment. And Kobe White back at the point guard position, that makes me want to slam my head through a door.
But you know what, though? I like Kobe in a position where he's not needed.
I like where he's at. But when Kobe,
I like him in a position where he's not needed, because let's say it's just an off night for everybody.
Right.
Kobe can still come in and
Kobe comes out chucking threes like he's fucking Steph Curry. I mean, he does his thing from time to time. He's just so inconsistent and a very big liability on defense.
Yes.
This is my personal opinion. Yeah, huge. I mean, I missed the fro because at least with the fro, it was in people's face. You know, you couldn't see the rim. Like at least you had that going. But right now, I got mad love for Kobe, but my time is running very impatient with him. But in all seriousness, you know, you look at one of the bigger signings, and I want to ask you in a respectful manner. I don't want to sit here and say that we didn't need him, but 1 year deal, $2.9 million, Goran Dragic. Rob Scott, are we even having this conversation right now if Lonzo doesn't go down?
No. I think the Bulls had enough. But we realized with Lonzo
more than
down, Caruso, as much as I love Caruso, he has his moments. He's not that point guard that you need. So you need somebody to come in that's going to take the pressure off Levine and take the pressure off the Chosen. So DeMar DeRozan, ladies and gentlemen, y'all gonna be hearing that name so much this season. Yes, Lord, I can't wait. But you know, bringing in a Goran Dragic, he's proven. He learned under Steve Nash. He sat behind Steve Nash in Phoenix. I mean, you guys remember Dragic, for our younger fans out there that don't know players by names. He's the guy you see in the Derrick Rose commercial when he touched the back of his head the back of his back with the ball. That's who Dragic was. But even though he got dunked on, which he's okay with, he understands that comes with the territory. Dragic is a great point guard. Because if you don't know what he did with Phoenix, you got to look at what he did with the Miami Heat not so long ago. He helped this team get to the finals. Actually, when they were going against the Lakers in the bubble, when Dragic went down, the Heat chances kind of went down with him.
That was the biggest thing, bro. That was the big. When I saw Kendrick Nunn, all power to him, another Chicago brother. But when I saw Kendrick Nunn starting at the 1 in the finals, I was like, Jimmy's about to have himself a night. Then I see Jimmy like this slumped over, and I'm like, oh man.
He knew we lost our point guard, and Dragic was giving the Lakers the business.
He was.
He gave everybody in the playoffs the business. Honestly, Jimmy had his nights, but Dragic was their more consistent scorer on that team.
Right.
And even though Dragic is older, I still think he's one of those point guards, especially coming off the bench. He can still cause some trouble for you.
Without a doubt. Now, I wanna break something down right now, and I'm curious to see your opinion. And I think there's so many different ways it can go. Okay. I think there's so many different conversations. We didn't even talk about this before the show. I just kind of popped in my noggin real quick.
We having fun, right? Y'all having fun out there, right?
100%. But you
Yes,
look at it for
Lord.
what it is. Now you got. I'm gonna throw your boy in there. I'm gonna throw in Terry, and we're gonna have a real conversation.
Okay,
You
we
got
talking
Zoe.
roster. Okay.
You got Io, you got Dragic, Terry, and Caruso. Pardon me.
Caruso.
Caruso. But with that being said, you got all these guards. When Zoe comes back, who bites it? Now you're obviously still going to be on the roster, but whose minutes do you see disappearing? I forgot to, you know what, Rob Scott. Before you say anything, I don't want to get killed by the Kobe lovers. I forgot Kobe.
You got to put Kobe in there. So Kobe, that's the obvious answer. His minutes will diminish, but I think honestly, Dragic minutes start to go down unless he has tapped into the fountain of youth.
Mm-hmm.
And Dragic is going crazy. Now, if he going crazy, I'm gonna leave him in like Cooper Rush.
Right.
Just let him play.
Oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, Rob.
I'm gonna leave him in like Cooper Rush. But if Dragic is showing me that he's aged, then I got him also there for veteranship. He's a veteran. He's gonna teach my young kids how to play. So Dragic will still be useful to the team, but I believe Io will get more minutes than Dragic because Io is on the he's trending in the right way. And Io plays defense.
Immaculate defense. I mean, this kid. I'll tell you what. I'm never gonna cap. I'm never gonna sit up here. 100%. And you know what? That's our next topic. A big topic. The kid from Chicago, the kid from Urbana-Champaign, a second-round pick and a stud in the playoffs in March Madness. Gotta give it to Rob Scott. Rob's the first person I ever heard say that. But in all seriousness, I have seen him play in person a couple of times. I'm not gonna sit here and act like we're buddies or that I grew up knowing him, but he was very well known, and everybody in the city pretty much knew this kid and respected this kid. I mean, for him to be the starting point guard in Chicago, Rob, tell me that's not a feel-good story. That the diehard Bulls fans from the Derrick Rose days, another Chicago guy coming in here and doing their thing. How important is that for Io that he got that nod, that he is the starting point guard on opening night?
Well, you know what? It's a feeling I don't know if anybody can ever understand. Hey, Miguel, appreciate you for being on, my boy Mickey. Hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. But to honestly to be from the city where you're playing, and to see the elation that we saw on Derrick Rose's face, being the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls. Everybody knows, Mike, you can attest to this, being a young guy, even though you didn't get to see Michael Jordan play, about the magic.
Go ahead, bro. Say it again, bro. Go ahead.
But we love you though, because even though you
100%.
didn't see it, the history. And,
Right.
and everybody who loves sports in Chicago, you're taught that history. You see the banners on your parents' basement walls. You see the Jordan newspaper clippings. You go back and you watch the highlights on YouTube,
right?
Because we saw magic happen. So to be a guy born in Chicago, to understand the history of Chicago basketball, and then to be the starting point guard, because now Derrick Rose is part of that history, to be the youngest MVP, to win MVP in a place where you call home for real.
Mm-hmm.
It's something different, and Io now joins that legendary list of players that get to play for their actual hometown and start for their actual hometown. So I'm proud of the kid, as you mentioned, with the Morgan Park. The playing for U of I. Putting U of I basketball back on the map. We wasn't excited about U of I basketball since the days of Darren Williams and Luther Head and Deep Brown. And I know I remember those days. Now I remember those days.
A minute ago.
So to put U of I basketball back on the map, then to get drafted by the Chicago Bulls, bite your time, keep your head above water, stay out of trouble, and learn the game. And now you're the starter for the team that you grew up loving, man. It's like a dream come true. It's like a dream come true.
100%. And I think it's one of those things, you grow up, and I won't speak for Io, but you grow up in this trenches mentality to where you don't think you can make it, and you don't think that it's ever going to be you. But because of guys like Derrick Rose who put together that blueprint, I guess I'll do it. Rob. And guys like Patrick Beverly and guys from
He did it
Chicago,
though.
he did
Will
it.
Finals.
I'll do it.
The Will
I said
Finals
it.
of the world and the Pat Bears of the
The D
world.
Wades.
The
I mean,
Isaiah Thomases of the world.
exactly. We don't talk
Know.
about him, but
But you know what though? He from here. So
100%,
I got
100%.
love for IT.
And
The
you know what
real
it is
IT.
too.
No
You know what?
offense
I
to
could see
other
why
IT.
Jordan hates him. I could see why Jordan hates him
Well,
because
here in Chicago, we want our respect.
yeah,
We
and I
want
think
our
Chicago
respect.
Hoopers are just different. But I mean, it's one of those things, though. In all seriousness, guys like D Wade, guys like AD, guys like Derrick Rose and Patrick Beverly, and the list goes on of greats, and even guys like Ben Wilson, who Ben Wilson might not make it.
Yeah,
God
man.
rest his
Yeah,
soul.
God rest
But
his
it's
soul.
that mentality of what it means to play at Simeon and what it means to be a part of that organization, a part of that school's history. When you look at that and all the intangibles that go into it, that had to have played a huge role in pride in Io's manhood and growing up and understanding like I have to take this blueprint and I have to make it my own. So to see him do his thing, my one critique on Io that I want to see him do a little bit better, I think he needs to get the ball out a little bit quicker. I think he kind of sits there and he waits for his shot. But if I stood next to Kobe White every day, I might take a couple extra seconds too because that man's shot is whack. But I mean, Rob,
but you know what? I want to see him make his stride in is to be a better playmaker.
you think?
Io has a lot to learn about being a point guard.
Right. I think he's a 2 and a 1.
Yeah. So I think he's gonna learn. That's why I say it. Because even though I know Lonzo is not there physically, but it's things that Lonzo will talk to him about. It's things that Caruso can definitely talk to him about being a champion in this league. And Goran Dragic, as I mentioned, he was brought up behind Steve Nash. There's no greater point guard to be brought up behind. Say what you want about Steve Nash, but Steve Nash used to give people the business.
Steve Nash was that dude.
Steve Nash gave people the business, and that pick and roll with him and Amari is probably one of the best 1-2 punches you will ever see in the NBA.
Hey, Steve Nash gave white boys like me hope that maybe we could hoop one day. But I mean, it definitely didn't help me, but it probably helped a bunch of kids. But
he gave people the business. So
100%.
I think Goran Dragic will be able to mentor Io. And don't get me wrong, Io is not bad.
No.
It's a good thing when you're good at something and there's still room for improvement.
Right.
Growth doesn't mean a bad thing. Growth means that I got room to be great. I'm good now. I can be great, and that's how you have to look at it. So I got faith in Io, and man, I'm telling you right now, man, the Bulls gonna be something to deal with. They gonna be something to deal with.
I'll tell you what, Rob Scott. You want to hear the stuff I deal with? I love Frank Marshall. He does his thing. But I'll tell you what. So I'm on TikTok live. If you ain't following it, Cubs.Mike, definitely give it a little.
That boy at 5K followers, boy. Let him know.
5.4, but that don't matter. That don't matter. But in all seriousness, when I got my beard, bro, and I go on live, all I get is Mitchell Trubisky, Mitchell Trubisky, Mitchell Trubisky. One kid thought he was funny. He said, "Aren't you supposed to be in Pittsburgh right now?" And I was like, "Man, stop playing with me." Now today, I shaved my beard for the show. I was talking to my girl about it, and I was like, I think I'm gonna shave. Me and Rob Scott about to take the world. We're gonna do this. Then I got fuckers like Frank in here calling me Kirk Heinrich. I mean,
Captain Kirk.
I can't win, bro. I can't. I just honestly, I'm just gonna start wearing ski masks around, and no one. The face masks. I'm just gonna keep wearing those. I'm just gonna keep wearing those 24/7. But I got mad love. Got mad love for you, Frank. I appreciate you tuning in, bro. But man, bro, I stay losing. I can't win. But we got a couple more topics before we finish off our first episode of Bullshit. If you haven't already, be smooth because we're creating a podcast version for it, our own YouTube. This was something that happened very quickly. Me and Rob Scott, I was a little late to the party. We were supposed to be on this, but for whatever reason, me and Rob, we were just enjoying the summer, baby. It was summertime shy. We were on break. We were on break. But Rob Scott, we talked about 2022. We talked about the dream. We talked about getting put back on the map, even though it was only the 6th seed. We were ecstatic about it. Right now, including the play-in, though, it's going to be tough. You're looking at 2023 expectations. Now, we're not just talking about the Central. We're talking about the entire Beastern Conference. Can you give me an understanding right now? Let's not even talk about the team as constructed. How serious do you think we're going to have to start off? Like, how hard are we going to have to hit the ground running when you look at a guy without Lonzo Ball, and the Eastern Conference. Ben Simmons is hooping. I seen it I was getting my hair cut. I was getting the fade. They had it on the TV. They had it on the TV, and I see Ben dunk this ball, and I see Kyrie on the sideline going
So
crazy.
he giving KD the passes behind.
Kyrie's ecstatic. He's excited. I mean, I'm like, man, this is a problem. I'm looking at DeJounte Murray and Trey do their thing. John Collins is back. Capella is healthy. You're looking at all these different teams making moves, and we already talked about it. I'm taking my girl on Friday. We're gonna see the Spider in Cleveland, and that's my honestly, and I don't care what anybody says. That's my MVP prediction is the Spider. Everybody can die mad about it.
Oh, that's a hot take.
That's a hot take. I think it's time. I think it's time to do something. And you look at Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. I mean, we're just talking.
Gonna be tough.
Hey, and we're talking about new cats. Now you're already looking at Miami, who's the same, Milwaukee, who's the same, Philly's running it back.
Team, Atlanta
brings in DeJounte
Murray, and now you add that with Trey, John Collins looking. Oh my God!
Now,
oh my God!
The point of saying all that, and those are just a few names we named. I still think the Knicks could potentially make some noise. I think that if they could stay healthy,
be a staple in the East.
Exactly. There's so many teams right now you could look at. Philly with Harden and Embiid still doing it. You know, when you look at it for what it is, Rob, right now without Zoe, how do we have the time to wait for Zoe, or are we gonna have to just exceed expectations and hit the ground running just like we did with the COVID season?
I'll say this. I think the Bulls come out going. They're gonna come out extremely on it, and I say that because they have the veterans to keep everybody at bay. They're gonna come out hitting fast. They're gonna come out hitting strong. I think the Bulls going to go 8-10 in their first 10 games. I think they, because in this conference, you have to come out swinging hard. You have to come out going fast because you don't have the leeway. We're talking about in a matter of games, you can go from being number 3 in the conference down to number 7. I don't predict the Bulls putting themselves in a play-in situation.
Right.
I got them 4th or 5th in the East. I think the Bulls actually might surprise somebody. This is my hot take. Based off the team that I've seen so far in the preseason, I think the Bulls can be number 3 in the East.
Right.
I think the Bulls have the bench to do it.
Right.
They have the bench. The Bulls it's so deep right now, Mike. I don't know if people understand. The Bulls are so deep right now. It's not even ridiculous. It's I think that the bench mob is truly back. And one thing that the people of Chicago love about the Chicago Bulls, we love our starters, but when that bench come in and that bench can give you 30, it's now we talking. So I think right now the Bulls, they understand the urgency. They understand what they're up against in the Eastern Conference. They have no choice but to come out swinging for the fences. And I think that the point guards there, they're going to do enough where we're still going to miss Lonzo, but it's going to give Lonzo enough time to heal and not panic and trying to come back too soon.
100%. And I think one of the biggest things you just hit on too, and we did just get some news about the Charlotte Hornets, but we have news we didn't even talk about with the Charlotte Hornets, with the Miles Bridges situation. That is a key factor that takes away, because I felt like Charlotte was on its way of constructing something nice.
The right way. Yeah.
They were trending in the right way, but again, we got mad love for Michael Jeffrey Jordan, but that man does not spend money to save his life. All that money, but it is what it is.
He just gives it to Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know, bro. I don't know what to say, bro. But in all seriousness, you look at it for what it is. I think this team's going to be great. I think this team's going to be great. I think they're going to be solid. I currently have them at 51-31. I think they're going to have a great season. That's my record for the year. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be tough, though. But I think that's going to be one of those things where, you're waiting for Lonzo to come back for a long time. And potentially we're looking at somewhere from, I would say, late
after
December.
Break.
Yeah. You think All-Star break?
After All-Star break.
After All-Star break. I mean, but that's what I'm talking about, though, Rob. If we can stay 500 or even exceed expectations and then get Zoe back, oh, baby, it's cooked. I mean, they're cooked. It's over with. Yeah. But for you right now, I mean, biggest matchups biggest matchups. What are you excited to see? Who's your first team of the year that you're thinking to yourself, man, I can't wait to play this team?
Cleveland.
Yes, sir.
To me, I think Cleveland is gonna be here because Cleveland, to me, they were already trending in the right way.
Great coaching too. Great coaching. Not even talked
Tremendous,
about.
tremendous coaching. Darius Garland elevated his play, became an all-star last year.
Right.
Jared Allen came in, had something to prove because he didn't like how he was done by the Brooklyn Nets, just let go of. Became an all-star last year.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley, we know the type of player that he is, and I think he's just a utility knife of a player. Whatever you
Dog.
need from Evan Mobley, he gets it done.
Baby
And
Giannis.
now
I'll
you
say that.
add Donovan Mitchell in there, who is ready to show the world what he can do when he's playing with an actual contender, when everybody is on the same mode as him and that's ready to win.
Right.
Unfortunately, he got to play with Mike Conley outside of his prime. I don't think Rudy Gobert ever made tremendous strides in trying to advance his game. And I just Utah wasn't it, but I think this Cleveland team is going to be a breath of fresh air for Donovan Mitchell, and I think that is going to be about. We know what Milwaukee is, but I think to see Cleveland and Chicago battle it out to see who's going to be, I guess, the second top dog in that Central Division is going to be interesting to me. So Cleveland, I'm definitely interested in, but I can't even say Milwaukee will be number one because now we don't know Chris Middleton's situation.
100%.
He's still not playing. This guy got injured last year, and he's still not playing this season yet.
Almost a year ago,
Because
right?
I think he's had complications after his surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a crazy world.
Without Middleton, Milwaukee ain't on nothing.
I don't know about that one. I still think they
not
solid.
on nothing. They make some noise in the East, but
Right.
if they have to play, let's say
they'll be at the dance for sure.
Let's say they make it out of the East. Do you want them to play the Warriors without Chris Middleton?
I like how you said they're gonna play the Warriors because we all know what it is. But
hey, I got Warriors coming out the West.
I wouldn't want them to play the Warriors in general. I wouldn't even show up, honestly. I really wouldn't. You punching your own teammate in the face. I mean, I don't want to see you. I don't know what you about to do to me.
Draymond got hands for everybody.
You know what I said one time? I was like, and I love her. She's amazing. But my girl's about it, and I was like. I was talking to my boy about it the one day. I was like, bro, she'd beat my ass. I was like, I don't even want to know what she would do to somebody else. No, like Draymond Green, stay over there, do your little podcast. I don't want to talk to you. But in all seriousness, when I look at Cleveland and what Bickerstaff has been able to do, I think there's somebody you left out. And it's a conversation not a lot of people remember is how crazy and how stupid Ricky Rubio is going. Rubio coming back from his ACL tear at the beginning of last season. He will be back sometime soon. I don't know what the timetable is, but Ricky Rubio, 6th man of the year candidate. I mean, let's talk about it. You got Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. I mean, and you forgot my boy too, the man straight out of 1974. You looking at Jared Allen with the fro. I mean.
Jared Allen, first time All-Star, baby.
They were all doing their thing, and Jared Allen's like 25. Like the man looks 40. I mean,
he looks like a pastor.
100%. He looks like
Pastor Allen.
he looks like the school lunchroom guy too, though. Like they make him wear the hairnet and it just don't fit. But in all seriousness, I think I had Cleveland coming out of the East. I truly do. If unbiasedly, if I have my bias, I'm gonna say it's the Chicago Bulls. But in all seriousness, I think Cleveland has the recipe to just create so much success. And it all starts with getting Lauri Markkanen off your fucking team. But they did that, amazing. Lauri's in Utah. See ya, enjoy that. But it is what it is. But it's something right now, Rob. Before we get out of here, the standings are going to be insane. I mean, I'm looking at several teams with 50 plus wins. I mean, that's
every day you're going to be paying attention to the standings because, like I said, it's a matter of if you lose one game, you go from 3rd place to 7th place.
Exactly, and that's my thing, though, Rob. How concerned should we be that Lonzo might not be back until the second half? Do you think we're going to have to be playing catch up? In all seriousness,
no, I don't. I don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying the benefit of Lonzo, but. I give me 15 games. Ask me that 15 games on that. Come back and talk to Mike with Rob, and I'll answer that question again. But right now, I don't think so. I think Lonzo is good, but I've yet to see how much of an impact the Bulls are going to have without him.
Right. No,
So
I got
I gotta see, because I know what Goran can do. I
right.
know what Alex Caruso can do. I know what Io can do, and I think Io is gonna be better. So and then not to mention, if Levine and DeRozan are healthy, they have the wherewithal to play point guard from the shooting guard position and to
Right.
get people in position. So I just think that the Bulls have enough, not just to get by, but to make some noise in the East.
100%. And I do, before we get out of here, there's one more topic we need to talk about. The man, the myth, the legend himself. I mean, we got to talk about it. $215.2 million over the next 5 years. Zach Air 8 Levine, Flight 8 is back in the Windy City. There was, according to him, there was never a question. He's coming back to Chicago. Him and DeMar got on the phone. I was actually just listening to an interview with DeMar saying, DeMar asked him back on when they were going to the Olympics with KD, and he called Zach and he was like, "Yo, are you resigning? Because I'm not coming." And Zach said, "I'm resigning. Just be quiet. I'm trying to get my bag." But in all seriousness, Rob, 215.2. That point two is important. Don't
Man,
think
let me
it's not.
hold something, Zach.
Yeah, give me that 0.2. Give me that 0.1. I don't care. 0.5 of the 0.5. I'll
Let me
take it.
hold something, Zach. You
But
got
without
it.
a doubt, Flight 8 is back in Chicago, though, Rob Scott. And right now, without Lonzo Ball, with Billy Donovan being here, with all these other individuals, Nikola Vucevic, you're looking at DeMar DeRozan, all these guys. Right now, your expectations for Zach LaVine, when are we going to start having the conversation from All-Star to MVP? When is it too soon? Do you think this could be a year that you look at Zach LaVine, especially with the injury towards the end of last season? What are your expectations for Zach right now?
I MVP. I think he maybe, if we breaking down the
Let's
MVP.
say MVP
Yeah, yeah,
conversation.
yeah. That's why I said we breaking down the MVP race in a 10-player race. I think he'll be one of the players in that race. I think the MVP, at least for Chicago, goes through DeMar. In my personal opinion, we
I
go as
agree.
far as DeMar takes us. But Zach LaVine is a nice number two. Like, you can't get a worse number two than Zach LaVine. And I
Right.
think with the expansion of his game, with the way that he shoots the three ball, with the way that he can get into his jumper. So not because now I think Zach LaVine has done what I've asked for most players to do. He's added a real game to that athleticism. He has
Right.
crazy athleticism,
Insane.
crazy bounce. The guys won a dunk contest. Like, had one of the greatest dunk contests that we've seen with him and Aaron
After
Gordon
tearing your
going
ACL. I mean,
going
come
back
on.
and forth. It's ridiculous, the athleticism that this guy has. So now you add an actual game to that athleticism, meaning that now he's added the court vision, he's added the shooting, he's added the handles. Like, Zach LaVine can get into his shot. He doesn't need you to get him into his shot. And I think him and DeMar DeRozan has actually built a brotherhood where at first he did feel a little threatened about his position on the Bulls with DeMar coming in, but the Bulls showed him how much he means to this team by giving him $215 million over 5 years. They say, Zach, we love you. We love you. We don't want you to go anywhere, Zach. We love
We
you.
love you, baby.
So, I hope you take this sentiment of $215 million over 5 years as a great, a gift to know that we love you. And I
Right.
think Zach is going to come in, revitalize. He's going to want to get to the All-Star game. It's going to be nice to have 2 or 3 All-Stars coming from Chicago participating over in that weekend. So I think Zach, I have high expectations for Zach. We're going to need Zach. We're going to need Zach to average like 25 and 8 throughout the year.
100%. And I do think, you hit it something on the head, and it kind of transitions into another topic as a whole. But nonetheless, it's important to talk about. You said
Yeah,
Zach is a great number two.
he is.
Now, $215 million for a number two, and you look at our number one, DeMar DeRozan. Rob Scott, is he a number one? Do we have 2 number twos? Is my question. Do we have a 1A,
Ooh,
1B?
you know what? I think we have a 1A, 1B. But I can say DeMar is a 1A. Um, don't get me wrong. DeMar hasn't won a ring,
Right.
and I get that. But
I also look at the
he was
circumstances,
the
though, of
definitive leader of the Toronto Raptors.
exactly. And going up against who? Come on, we got to
LeBron. He went
thank
against
you.
Kang. And
Prime
not
Bron. We
too
talking
many people beat
headband
Kang.
Bron.
I mean, even if you look at that great Pacers team, me and Gonzo talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
That great Pacers team with Paul George and Hibbert and Danny Granger. And I mean, they had a team, and Stevenson, they had a team to contend with Cleveland and with Miami, and it just didn't pan out. So, you know, that a lot of people lost to LeBron, so I'm not gonna hold that against DeMar.
Right.
But DeMar is an A player. Like he is a number one player. You can run the offense through DeMar. He shows you, and I think DeMar has gotten better.
Right.
He plays at his own pace. That's one of the things I say about Luka all the time. You can't speed Luka up. You can't slow Luka down. He's gonna play at his own pace, and that's how DeMar DeRozan plays. And yeah, to me, I think he's the top dog in Chicago. That's Debo.
With Debo, that's DeMar DeChosen, as Rob Scott would say. First person to ever say that was Rob Scott. I want that pointed out.
DeMar DeChosen, baby. But and the first person to dub Sabrina Ionescu Lady Mamba.
Exactly. I know 100% too. And you know, I had a great interview with Sabrina this year too, and really getting to meet her in person. It was like I wasn't even supposed to be there. Like she gives you this mentality, like she is her. Like you are talking to royalty. You are talking to like somebody who is going to be the face of the league. 100%.
She gives you a Kobe Bryant personality.
Yeah, I mean it's not like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like, you know, it's crazy intense, but it's intimidating for sure. I mean, she hits you with them questions. You saw my interview with her. It was trending all over ESPN, and I was just like, hey man, I was like, hey, watch your mouth. Like, what the fuck? I was like, hey, how do you feel about this win? She was like, Ben knowing we was finna bust their ass.
Oh, that's a W. You were thinking about the next game.
I was ready to stand up. I was like, where's Candace? Where's Candace right now? But with that being said, you know, before we get out of here, I do think we do have a sneaky number one, Rob, and you ain't even talking about it. Come on, let's talk about the GOAT.
Oh, Antetokounmpo.
Nah, but in all seriousness,
no,
I did want to give love.
I like him too.
I did want to give love because he did make the roster, and I forgot to mention him in our off-season acquirements. They did just sign him the other day to a full guaranteed deal, so kill me. But Kostas is here, and that means Giannis is coming in 2025. We're going to have an episode dedicated to that soon where Giannis did talk about coming to the Bulls. But before we get out of here, really quickly, I do want to say thank you to our sponsor all the time. We're going to get Rob Scott some merch very soon. Bench Mob Chicago, always doing their thing. If you don't know Bench Mob Chicago, they do amazing things where everything keeping up to date with Chicago Bulls games, COVID. They were up to date with COVID before the players even knew they had COVID. They have box scores, they have injury lists, they have game to day updates, they have everything you want on Instagram, Facebook, all social media platforms. And if you go to benchmobchicago.com, you can get their merch. They got sick hoodies. I believe it's just benchmob.com, but you can figure it out for yourself.
Hey, guess what though, man? You see how cold we are? We already got sponsors.
Pretty nice.
Episode 1. Hey, all I can tell y'all is to strap up, sit back, relax, and get ready for the ride, baby.
100%. Rob Scott, before we get out of here, can you just plug in really quickly where everybody can find you if they don't know who the great Rob Scott is?
Oh man, you know, you can find me on Rob's 2 Cents. You know, I'm coming back with Rob's 2 Cents, but I'm putting so much into this right here. This is gonna be our baby, man. You know, of course, you can find us here on the Bullshit and anywhere on the ASAP Sports Network where I'm whether I'm on the morning show, whether I'm on the afternoon show, hell, even on Unscripted, baby. You can find me everywhere.
Without a doubt, you can find me on Mike on the Mic podcast or on Skytown on YouTube. We have every single game, every single post-game interview with all Chicago Sky media members and all players. It's super exciting to be here with Rob Scott. You can find us on the All Sports, All Plays Network. Baby, we out. And by the way, Pride, bebop.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.